We'll start with prayers by setting a proper motivation, which consists of 3 parts. And for each of the 3 parts, both things are important, what we are visualizing and how we visualize it. So first we start with visualizing the refuge field, which consists of the Buddha, Bodhisattvas, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and any enlightened being that you feel close to. And imagine that they are looking upon you with immense kindness and unconditional love, just as a parent looks upon their only child. And the Bodhicitta field, which is the Bodhicitta field, with your parents seated on either side of you, mother on the left and father on the right, and you're accompanied by all dear parent sentient beings, and this time you are looking at them with immense love and kindness, and you're leading them in this practice. And the third thing is the purpose of the practice, which is to manifest the Buddha nature, the seed of perfection, Tathagata Kripa, inside us, which is the source of happiness, by removing the 2 mental obscurations, affective obscurations, which are gross, active obscurations, which are subtle. So with that, we'll start. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the immaculate dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the immaculate dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the immaculate dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Independent, rich, non-annihilation, no. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, of this peace, free of elaborations. Buddhas, the hearers, the Sattmas, the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all these hearers seeking sanctification to complete peace, who through the knowledge of paths causes those helping migrators to achieve the aim of the world, and who through the possession of omniscience helps the viewers expound a variety of teachings. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata and protector, to you I make prostrations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations, and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays. To you, the Buddha, I make prostrations. And for refuge until I am enlightened, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, by my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sangha, by my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Om ye dharma etu prabhava etum tesham tathagato yavata tesham chayo nirodha evam bhagi mahashramanaye svaha. Om ye dharma etu prabhava etum tesham tathagato yavada tesham chayo nirodha evam bhagi mahashramanaye svaha. Om ye
हेतुं तेषां तथागतो यवदत् तेषां च यो निरोधा एवं वादी महाश्रमणये स्वाहा. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well is taught by the grace. Calm, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear light and non-composite. Such is the dharma discovered. Finding no one to fathom this teaching, in silence I will retire into the woods. Beyond utterance, thought and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unceased and has the nature of space. It is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of Buddhas of the 3 times I pay obeisance. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source of all. I go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, please liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of the expanse of billions of eons. The Buddha does not wash the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of suchness that beings are liberated. With folded hands I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered miseries gloom. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Please turn to page 14. Praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sudhaka, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings and go for refuge. When, O supreme amongst humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who were wise then I prostrate. With pure bodies, forms supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme science face like a spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust-free like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparable wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you the Tathagata I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the dharma that pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you the Sangha I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the foe of falls, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Please turn to page 31, the Heart Sutra Mantra. Tayatha gate gate paragate parasangate bodhi swaha. Tayatha om gate gate paragate Parasambhati Bodhi Swaha Tayatha Om Gati Gati Paragati 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 Parasambhati Bodhi Swaha. Next page, page 32, 8 verses of mind training. With a determination to achieve the highest aim for the benefit of all sentient beings, which surpasses even the wish-fulfilling gem, may I hold them dear at all times. Whenever I interact with someone, may I view myself as the lowest amongst all, and from the very depths of my heart respectfully hold others as superior. In all my deeds may I probe into my mind, and as soon as mental and emotional afflictions arise, as they endanger myself and others, may I strongly confront them and avert them. When I see beings of unpleasant character, oppressed by strong negativity and suffering, may I hold them dear, for they are rare to find, as if I have discovered a jeweled treasure. When others out of jealousy treat me wrongly with abuse, slander and scorn, may I take upon myself the defeat and offer to others the victory. When someone whom I have helped, or in whom I have placed great hopes, mistreats me in extremely hurtful ways, may I regard him still as my precious teacher. In grief, may I offer benefit and joy to all my mothers, both directly and indirectly. May I quietly take upon myself all hurts and pains of my mothers. May all this remain undefiled by the stains of the 8 mundane concerns, and may I, recognizing all things as illusions, devoid of clinging, be released from bondage. From my 2 collections vast as space that I have amassed, from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds wisdom is blinded by ignorance.
Okay. Okay, ready? So first I need to give the intro. Those of you who are already aware, who already have some exposure to meditation, do your own meditation now. And those who are not, those who have been doing meditation on the basis of reading some materials or watching some YouTube. So for them I would suggest that it is not sufficient. You must get the basic, the instruction. Otherwise, your meditation may not really be successful, and in worst cases, it can be you may be building or you may be turning medicine into poison, because improper meditation can destroy your thought processes, can destroy your neurological processes, and in many cases, the people go through to become insane. Insanity can be a result of the meditation, which is improper meditation. Okay, for that matter, the meditation, there are 2 kinds. The the analogy which we gave last time, the light. The purpose is to eliminate the light, the darkness. To dispel the darkness, we need to introduce the light. So this light, which we're going to use to dispel the darkness, must have two qualities. One is that it should be very bright, and the other is that it should be steady. Bright, if it is not bright, then you want to read the book, but the light is so dim, it doesn't serve the purpose. Even though it is light, but it doesn't serve the purpose. Now, even if the light is very bright, but if the light is flickery, again, is very disturbing, it doesn't serve the purpose. So the light should be very bright, plus steady. Very good. Okay, likewise, our mind, finally, to dispel the ignorance. It is a mind which should be doing it. And if we don't ignite the light of the wisdom, automatically our mind will take the form of darkness. And in darkness is responsible for all the miseries. Darkness of ignorance is responsible for all the miseries. So this light, instead of taking the form of darkness, it should take the form of the light to dispel this darkness. So this light should have two qualities. One, this mind should be very bright, meaning it should be very sharp, which can be done through rigorous studies, rigorous reflections too. And then the steadiness. Once you have built this light, then you must make sure that this mind, the light of this mind is very steady. So what we do now is to build the steadiness, and the rest of the classes, rest of the whole 1 year, the classes are meant to ignite the light. And the actual light will be ignited when you jump to, not the master's course, not the diploma course. Diploma course is just the ember, right? And with the master's course, then it will help you to ignite the whole light. Meanwhile, we learn how to prepare ourselves to make this mind very steady, so that when the light is ignited, your mind is already very steady, and the ignition of the light together, it will successfully eliminate or dispel the darkness. Okay, so this the meditation, and to bring the brightness of the light. The technical term that we use is the analytical meditation. Analytical meditation, meaning that you analyze, you should activate the potential of the analysis. So there is analytical meditation to ignite this light very bright. Analytical meditation. Now, alongside, to make this analytical meditation in Tibetan is Chegum. Now, you have this light and you want to make it very steady so that it does not have the flaw of being flickery. For that matter, we need to have the Jogum. Jogum means single pointed meditation. Jogum. Single pointed meditation. So meditation, we see that there are two kinds: analytical meditation and single pointed meditation. So be very careful. Let us not be easily deceived by the fashionable word meditation, mindfulness-based meditation, so whatever, mindfulness-based stress reduction and so forth. They're not wrong, they're not bad. But the point is that we should know in a very complete form what does it mean by meditation in the first place, and how many of these kinds are there, and what are the purposes of the different meditations. You getting it? Okay. So when we don't see the picture, when you don't get the complete picture, then the danger is that you get just one part of the picture, you think that this is the whole thing. And don't forget, the whole agenda with which we started the diploma course, be kind to yourself and be wisely kind to yourself. So if you want to be wisely come to yourself, give yourself the complete picture, not just a partial picture, right? So therefore, the point is you're trying to get the complete picture, and then, for example, say what we're learning here the diploma course, and later on then the master's course, another master's course. With these two things, you will get a very complete picture. Once you get a complete picture, you can go anywhere. You can go anywhere. You'll be so happy to see that, okay, now this part which is being taught in this tradition, not necessarily Buddhist tradition, any non-Buddhist tradition, even Western science, Western philosophy, you go anywhere and you will see that, okay, they are talking about this part. They are talking about this part. You know the whole picture, because you know the whole picture, and then some you'll be very fascinated to see that they just be in their own small world, and they think that this whole world, right? Because that you learn everything, you see the whole world completely, then you go elsewhere, and after learning the diploma course, Nalanda Diploma Course International, and Nalanda Master's Course International, learning these two things, being part of that, and then if you go out and you see something very different, which doesn't really fit in there, provided you understand these two courses so well, then amazing. Otherwise, what I would say is that the point is, we have to get a very holistic picture, complete picture. Okay, with this in mind, without much ado, the instruction for the single point of meditation, Jokum, single point of meditation, say it is just to build your mind steady. That's it. And building your mind steady doesn't mean that it will take you to Buddhahood. And oftentimes, some may claim that make your mind steady and this will take you to Buddhahood. This is just a means. This is just a means. Oftentimes people get confused with this. And then there were some people who really claim that this will take you to Buddhahood, but you will realize after studying the diploma course and the Nalanda Master's course, you come to realize that it's not true. This is just a part. It is like saying you put a finger to show to a child what the moon is, and the child will not look at the moon, the child will look at the finger. Right? So therefore, it becomes like this. So just the means to take you to Buddhahood, and some people, they claim, very strongly claim, that this is the only path. So this, we should be a little more open. Open, should not be so confined, should not be so rigid. Let us be very open. So with this in mind, this meditation, single point of meditation, it should have 4 points. We should keep in mind 4 points. Right? This is so important. And if you know these 4 points, then the point 1, except for point 2, point 1, 3, 4. These 3 points of the 4 are crucially important for any kind of meditation. Any kinds of meditation, whether you meditate Hindu meditation or Christian meditation, or the Jain meditation, secular meditation, Buddhist meditation, it doesn't matter. In all meditations, once you know what these 4 points are, and in what way they're very important, and you do your own meditation, through your own experience you realize that these are the 3 points which any meditation should necessarily incorporate. Okay, 4 points. The first one is the body posture. Body posture, number 1. Number 2 is, and I'm going to explain each one of the points. Number 2 is the focal point. Focal point. Number 3 is identifying the errors of meditation, identifying the mistakes or the errors of meditation. And number 4, applying the remedies to overcome the errors. Okay, first focal point, first the body posture, number 2 focal point, number 3, what is number 3? Identifying the errors of meditation. Number 4, applying the remedies to overcome the errors. Applying the remedies to overcome the errors. Okay, point one, the body posture. Body posture, say if possible, we sit cross-legged. Padmasana, cross-legged, which means your left foot should be on your right leg and right foot should be on your left leg. Okay, just if you can do this. If you cannot do this, don't force yourself now. What I would suggest is try this at your place, in your room, house, whatever, right? Try this at home. Okay, so when you try this, you may start feeling pain. The moment you start feeling pain, little close to unbearable pain, then keep it down, release it. When the pain is gone, again bring it back. So this is how we will be habituated to this practice, to this sitting. And why this sitting is very important is that with this sitting, our mind is very alert. Our mind is very alert. Okay, one. And whereas if you cannot sit the cross-legged, is fine. It is not mandatory. You can sit in the half lotus posture also. One. Number two, which is so important, is backbone upright. Backbone upright. Okay, oftentimes, even in the schools, people, the young children, age 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, even they sit like this. They sit like this. They are so like they're 90 years old. They sit like this, right? So I said, no, you are very young children. Don't sit like this. Sit upright. Okay, it's very important. Always to make it a habit to sit upright. You're getting, this is so important. So this, I would say, no compromise. Should you have backache problem, you're exempted. Otherwise, during the meditation, it is advisable not to lean against a support. Advisable not to lean against a support. Whereas if you have backache problem, then don't, they say, whatever is needed for you to sit, to feel comfortable, sit it in that position. You need support, you seek the help of a support. Otherwise, if you are physically all right, then I would suggest you to not to lean against the support, sit upright. So later on, as you become little exposed to meditation through the practice, you'll realize you can see the contrast. See the contrast? When you sit, when lean your body against a wall or support, and without, the freshness of the mind is different. Freshness of the mind is different. You're getting it? And then you sit like this, bent, and sit upright. Again, the freshness of the mind is different. And then say, cross-legged, without cross-legged, you can see the difference in the freshness of mind. Whereas, somehow you cannot sit cross-legged, it is not mandatory, right? Okay, good. Now the next one is your head should be tilted forward a little bit. Head tilted forward a little bit, right? And the next of the two things which is so important, one is eyes not closed. I'm saying this one, I'm reiterating this. Eyes should not be closed. Eyes should not be closed. Eyes half open, and 45 degrees cast down. Eyes half open, 45 degrees cast down. This is so important, okay? If you close your eyes, the moment you close your eyes, what happens is that experientially you could feel the dullness sink in. The dullness sinks in, right? Okay, don't close your eyes, just keep your eyes half open and 45 degrees cast down. Perfect. Okay, and the eyes, if you keep your eyes, and then say with your meditation, say you become very expert in meditation, like 2 hours, 2 years of experience, 10 years of experience like this, and 10 years of experience, 10 years of meditation with eyes closed, then you can try this with eyes open, and if it doesn't work at all, then we can't do really as much. Okay, then close your eyes and do the meditation, right? For others, Even if you have been doing your eyes, doing meditation with eyes closed, try with eyes open, right? And if precisely, if another teacher, meditation teacher, taught you keep your eyes closed, right? Then what I would say, that I don't want to argue with anyone else. What I would say is that you can try both. You can try both with the eyes closed sometimes, eyes open sometimes, and then through your own experience, right? Say my doctor may say that, okay, eat pizza, right? Eat pizza. Then another doctor may say that don't eat pizza, right? Okay, eat only chow mein. Then I try both, and slowly my body tells me, after a prolonged period of exposure, my body tells me that okay, the pizza with the atta, proper atta, brown atta, whole wheat atta, this is better, this is more healthy, I experience to feel it, then I can say that okay, yes, henceforth I will do the whole wheat, the pizza or roti, not the rice, not the chow mein, whatever. Okay, so experientially you realize this, and this is not really a very, very serious thing. Otherwise, the Buddha will punish you, God will punish you. No one's going to punish you. Everybody loves you, right? So the point is, where your meditation becomes better, finally, meditation is your mind should actively bring about transformation in you. Where with eyes closed, if the transformation is not happening, the mental transformation not happening, that you are not becoming happier, more and more fresh person, which means something's wrong with the meditation. Whereas with doing the meditation and then your eyes open, close, whatever, through your own experience, you see that you become happier, transformation taking place, where earlier, otherwise you would be easily get irritated because of some small things. Now everything is under control, your mind is very stable, calm, very happy, right? Nothing really bothers you as much. Okay, this is the meaning of the transformation. So if that is happening, the purpose of meditation is accomplished. Whereas if your mind becomes more dull, right? More dull, and then sit in meditation, and then from there you don't want to get up, right? You don't want to get up because you feel sleepy, right? You don't want to get up, you think that is a good meditation. And then you are very thirsty, you don't want to even go to the kitchen, which means that you are becoming sluggish. This is the counterforce. This is the wrong meditation. Okay, so the point is the eyes should not be closed, it should be half open, 45 degrees cast down, and then the instruction will be given later. The follow-up instruction will be given later. Okay, eyes half open. Then the next, the tip of the tongue should touch the upper palate. Tip of the tongue should touch the upper palate. This is very important. Why? Initially, when we start meditating, saliva get accumulated, and which is very disturbing. When you meditate. So, if you keep the tip of the tongue touching upper palate, it will avoid accumulating excessive saliva in the mouth. Saliva can be accumulated still, it can accumulate, but it's going to be less, right? Okay. Then, initially when you do this, it's very disturbing. Are you meditating, or you have to focus your mind that the tip of the tongue is touching the upper palate, right? So it's a little disturbing initially. Later on, you'll get used to it. You'll get used to it. If you don't keep the tip of the tongue touching the upper palate, you feel uncomfortable. Automatically, you do it. Okay, this is one thing. And the lips and the teeth, keep them in their natural course. No hard and fast rule. Just keep them in their natural course, whichever is better. In some cases, for example, say if you keep the mouth open like this, and then unintentionally I may start breathing through my mouth. When I start breathing through my mouth, sometimes the mouth can become very dry. So therefore, it can be again very disturbing when the mouth is very dry. At the upper part dry, below the saliva is accumulated. So this problem is there. So the point is, whichever way is more comfortable, do it that way. Okay, there's no hard fast rule, right? Now what is very important is breathe naturally. Don't ever breathe forcefully. Don't ever breathe forcefully. Don't ever control your breath, right? Just let it flow very naturally. Okay, there are times, a very specific meditation where you have to hold your breath for like a few seconds or a few minutes like this, right? There are very specific meditation pertaining to holding the breath. That is a different meditation. Restful meditation, all other meditations, let your breath flow very naturally. Don't force your breath, don't control your breath. Okay, and right hand on your left hand, right hand on your left hand, and the tips of the two thumbs joining. Right hand on your left hand, right hand on your left hand, and the tips of the two thumbs joining, and the two thumbs standing, forming a triangle. Place the two hands on your laps in a restful state. Okay, so this is what is known as Vajrayana's position, Vajrayana's meditative position, right? And there are so many hand gestures, some like this, some like this, on the knees, right? It is not that one is correct, other is wrong. All are correct, right? But say, see the what tradition that you've learned, you can do that, and you can do other gestures also. Gesture is not really the final thing. Final thing is your mind. Okay, this is the body posture. Okay, good. Now the next one is what? Focal point. Focal point meaning, finally with this thing ready, then what you are going to meditate. What are you going to meditate on? This is the focal point. So there are so many versions of focal point. What we're going to do here is a very simple one, yet very effective. Very simple, yet effective. That is, visualize a tiny dot, tiny white dot between your nose and the upper lip. Okay, touch this spot. Your nose and upper lip, touch this spot. Do you feel something? You feel? Okay. Now, touch your back. Scratch your back without looking at it. Just scratch your back. Do you feel something? You will feel it? Your eyes are looking at it? Your eyes are looking at it? No, still you can feel it. That is your mental consciousness. When your eyes look at me, it is your eye consciousness looking at me. But when you scratch it, your mental consciousness is looking at it. Your mental consciousness. Now the meditation is not done by your eye consciousness. Meditation is done by your mental consciousness, right? Okay, later on we will study what is known as the psychology. Later on we will introduce, not now, later on, psychology. So here we will explain all the different kinds of the mental states, right? Okay, so that we will study separately, and that is extremely helpful. Extremely helpful for us to examine ourselves. Examine ourselves. What is going on in me? Why am I happy? Why I'm unhappy? What's the cause of unhappiness? What is really happening within me with my bodily sensation? The sound here, the hearing, then the nose touch, and the mental, within the mental, negative, positive, all these things we will study later on. Okay, so we're going to focus on the tiny dot, 1 mm or 2 mm in diameter, very small, 1 mm or 2 mm in diameter, between nose and the upper lip. This is where we're going to meditate. We're going to focus, and your eyes are not looking at it. Your eyes are just 45 degrees cast down and ignore it, right? Whereas mental consciousness is visualizing. For example, here, okay, do you see India Gate next to me? Do you see India Gate? No? Okay, imagine India Gate. Can you imagine? Your eyes are imagining or your mental consciousness imagining it? Very good. Wow, it's amazing. Just in a few seconds you introduce mental consciousness. Okay, so now the point is that we have to segregate eye consciousness and the mental consciousness. If you do meditation with eyes closed, you will never learn this skill to separate the eye consciousness and the mental consciousness. You're getting it? And in fact, we all have this experience, but our mind is very naughty. Our mind is very mischievous. When you don't want to segregate it, your mind will segregate it. How? Say, I'm talking to you, right? And you are a part of the, say, not in the Buddhist, not in the what? Diploma course, right? Okay. So if you're not interested in what I'm saying, your mind is so expert, right? Your mind will start listening to the other sounds. And your eye consciousness is just looking at me as though like you're paying attention to me. But your mental consciousness is going somewhere else, right? We are so expert in this. But when we are to employ the same segregation on the virtuous things, your mind will say, I cannot do it. Right? Okay, if I ask you, just keep your eyes 45 degrees cast down, half open, and your mind, mental consciousness, should focus on the tiny dot here. You will first complain that you will say, you will raise, is that I keep seeing what is in front of me. Right? Which means that your mental consciousness is chasing after the eye consciousness. And I cannot visualize the dot because I keep seeing what is in front of me. So this is where your mind is so naughty, so mischievous. It does not listen to you. It does not do things. It does not apply its skills with the virtuous qualities. It's so expert in using this in the non-virtuous qualities. So our job is to acquire the skill applicable also to the virtues. You're getting it? Okay, this is where you're going to learn. For example, say, I'm looking at you, my mental consciousness is not looking at you, right? My mental consciousness is looking at something else, right? My mental consciousness is looking at my own mind, right? Eye consciousness, and you, when you look at me, you may think that, okay, he's staring at me, but I'm looking at the mental consciousness. You're getting it? Okay, so this skill we have to acquire, where your eye consciousness is directed somewhere else, but a mental consciousness you can direct anywhere you like. That it is not necessary that your mental consciousness should be after your eye consciousness all the time. So this skill we have to acquire. You're getting it? Whereas if you always do meditation with the eyes closed, you will never learn this skill. You will never learn the skill. The moment you keep your eyes open, your mind will chase, your mental consciousness will chase after your eyes, right? So, say, tell me, in 24 hours, how many hours you keep your eyes open? Most of the hours you keep your eyes open. Most of the hours you are not meditating. Because the moment you keep your eyes open, your mental consciousness chases after your eyes. Right? Whereas if you learn the skill of separating the eye consciousness and the mental consciousness, right? Even your eyes are wide open. So after you wake up, in the morning you wake up, right? You wake up, you interact with other people, then you go to your work, then you're in the car. And so then your eye consciousness is wide open, but you can still meditate because you know you have the skill. You have acquired the skill, developed the skill to separate the mental consciousness from the eye consciousness. Whereas if you have never learned the skill to separate the two things, right? The moment you waste a lot of your time. You keep your eyes open, you're not meditating. Guaranteed you're not meditating because you never learned the skill, right? To separate the mental consciousness from the eye consciousness. Okay, so with this, what we're doing here is you're training your mental consciousness to focus on the white dot while your eyes are still open, half open, 45 degrees cast down, right? Okay, now along with this, while you focus your mind on the tiny dot between your nose and upper lip, multitasking. Count your breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Cycle 1, breathe in, breathe out. Cycle 2. So two things are happening together. It's a little challenging. When you focus on the white dot, you may miss the counting the breath. When you count the breath, you may miss the focusing on the white dot. Initially, it's going to be a little problematic because we're not so trained in this. Now, over time, it's very easy. You can do these two things simultaneously. You can hold the white dot in front in your visualization, hold it, meanwhile you can count the breath. Don't follow the breath. Don't follow the breath means now the air has already gone through the nostril, now it's going out. You don't do that, just count the breath. 1, breathe in, breathe out. Cycle 2, breathe in, breathe out. Cycle 3. This is what we're going to do. Okay, so we're going to do for 5 minutes in group. When you're by yourself, don't do 5 minutes. When you're by yourself, don't do it 5 minutes. 5 minutes is going to be quite long, right? When you're by yourself, in group and individually is very different. In group, psychologically, you remain very alert because others also meditating. It's terrible that if I display my weakness. But when you're by yourself, who cares, right? So therefore, the tendency that you become more lax. So when you're by yourself, don't do it for 5 minutes, do it for 21 cycles. 21 cycles means it's a little over 1 minute. 21 cycles. And then if you are so excited, no, he said 21 cycles just 1 minute something, right? I want to do longer. If you're really excited, you can do it, but not in a continuous flow. Keep a short break, like 5 seconds break, and again you do another 21 cycles. You can do it like, say, 3 sessions, 3 very short sessions, 21 cycles, session of the 3 sessions, each of 21 cycles, with a gap of 4 to 5 seconds. Okay, and then evenings also you can do that. Okay, this is the focal point. What is number 3? Identifying the errors of meditation. What is number 4? Applying the remedies to overcome the errors. So these two are so important, If any meditation, whoever is doing the meditation, and the person does not teach you or is not watchful of these 2 points, the person is not doing a good meditation. Right? Why I'm saying this is that I met so many people who are saying that I do meditation. Once I met somebody, little, okay, say maybe in his 50s. Then he said, I've been doing meditation for how long? The last 3 years. Then I took that as a very standard meditation, right? And later on he said, nowadays in my meditation, all the buildings are coming up. In my meditation, all the buildings, visualization buildings are coming up. I said, what kind of meditation are you doing? And then I started asking, I thought he was doing a very standard meditation. So with this, then he said, I'm just sitting like this. Then I said, who taught you this meditation? He said, no. I went on the hiking, I met one American, and the American said that you must do meditation. Then right away he started meditation. How? He sat there like this. With no thought, with no the focal point, he do like this. Right? So this is what he's been doing for the last 3 years. And then finally all these things are coming, buildings are coming up in meditation. Right? Okay. Meditation is controlling mind. Right? What the mind should think, you should control it. Not the mind dictate what to come in your thought, dictate on you, right? If the mind dictates on you, there's no point in meditation. Meditation means to gain control of your mind so that the mind only goes after the virtuous objects, never after the wrong objects. And going after the buildings, it is not at all virtuous. You're getting it? Later on, when you come to know what exactly is the final meaning of my life, When you realize this, be kind to yourself, be wise to kind to yourself with this agenda. What is really meaningful, once you realize that, you will see that the proper meditation is so important. Okay. So, the point number 3 and 4, so important, so important. Point number 3, identifying the errors of meditation. Errors of meditation meaning when you start doing a meditation, and there are 2 kinds of errors, 2 kinds of mistakes. One is mental laxity, and the other one is mental excitement. Mental laxity and mental excitement. Mental laxity or the mental heaviness, mental inserviceability. Laxity, L-A-X-I-T-Y. Laxity and excitement. Mental excitement. Mental excitement is where the mind gets scattered here and there, not sitting on the focal point. Instead, it's running here and there, getting scattered here and there. Right? This is excitement. And excitement, scattering, wandering, they all mean the same. And the other one is mental laxity. Mental laxity is, in other words, mental scattering, mental excitement is overactivity of the mind. Overactivity of the mind. Overactivity and not sitting on the focal point, and it's getting scattered, overly active. Okay. Mental laxity is the passiveness of the mind. Where the mind is passive, mind starts sinking, feels sleepy and drowsy, and the heaviness feels heavy and inserviceable, mind is inactive. This is mental laxity. Right? These are the 2 errors. Okay, so we have to identify these 2 things so well. The moment we realize that these 2 are the 2 errors, then you must say, when you realize that your mind is so often getting scattered here and there, or so often feeling heavy and lethargic, no need to freak. When you identify that your mind is going through these 2 problems, you have to apply the remedies. If you don't apply the remedies, this is where you are going wrong. When you identify that these 2 things are happening, it's fine. Because these 2 things are happening, we are training in meditation, right? But if you don't apply the remedies right there, right? When the mind gets scattered, for example, in meditation, okay, breathing meditation, then your mind goes to the what? The city what? City walk? What is that? Huh? Select city walk. Mall. City mall, select city mall, there. Then you see the what? Levi's. What is that? Right, and you see that, okay, yes, I was thinking of buying a shirt, I was thinking of buying this, buying that, okay, now I'm seeing this, it's so fun, oh yes, I'm distracted, never mind, it's so, the moment you realize that you are distracted and still you approve that and you keep going like this is the worst thing. So if that happens, better not do the meditation, right? Stand up and go to city walk. Go to the mall. That is better, right? When you do it properly. Okay, 1. Likewise, when your mind feels lethargic, be very careful. This is a warning that I'm giving you. When your mind feels lethargic, meaning when the mind feels heavy, right? Okay, the mind is heavy, and then you feel little thing with heaviness. What accompanies that is laziness. You don't want to get up. You don't want to stand up. You're getting it? Okay, so this is I would say this is more dangerous. This is more dangerous. So where the moment you feel very heavy like this, you have to shake yourself. Shake yourself, keep yourself more alert. Make yourself alert. This is so important, right? and then say partially sleeping, partially meditating, and the feeling is very happy, pleasantly happy, right? So that happens. You don't want to say, no, it should be very fresh. It's not fresh. Yes, I know it's not fresh. Still continue like this. This is not good. You must apply the remedies. You're getting it? Okay. So number 4, apply the remedies. Remedies twofold. There are so many kinds of remedies. What we're learning here is a very simple, generic remedy. Very simple, generic, very general remedy, right? Okay, and then somebody who's actually starts to do this meditation, should you have any problem, you then must meet with the teachers, right? You have any problem, there are specific remedies pertaining to the specific problem. So what I'm sharing with you here is a very general remedy. Okay, I'll say the introspection and mindfulness. There are 2 remedies, generally speaking, introspection and mindfulness. So oftentimes, people talk about mindfulness meditation. It's all very good, but keep this in mind that people mix up the 2 things, mindfulness and introspection. Whereas, we have to learn that these 2 are not one. Mindfulness meditation, actually, there are 2 things mixed up. So it's very important to distinguish. Unless you distinguish the 2 things, your meditation is going to be not very sharp, right? Introspection and mindfulness. What is introspection? What is mindfulness? I'll say if you lost your pet dog, what do? First you go and search for the pet dog. You go and search pet dog. This is introspection. Your mind, the mind which meditates, this is like your pet dog. Now, instead of it sitting on the focal point, it runs away to different things, right? Different places and so forth. The mind gets scattered. So, like the pet dog, the running away from your place. So that is the job of looking for the pet dog, looking for where your mind is, whether your mind is meditating, whether your mind is scattered, or in a sleepy state. You are examining this. This is known as introspection. Once you find your mind, once you find the pet dog, the job of the introspection is done. Next is the job of the mindfulness. What do? You tie the dog with the rope and bring it back home and tie it to the pillar at your home. So the mindfulness is like the rope. Once you find that your mind is distracted or the mind is in a relaxed state, then instantly you use the rope-like mindfulness to bring the mind back to the intended object of the meditation. Right? With the help of mindfulness, you bring the mind back to the intended object of the meditation. This is mindfulness. Okay. So these are 4 things that we need to keep in mind. And I may give the instructions, the more. Okay, then they say in some cases where, let's say, that if your mind just, yes, you realize that your mind is still there. Your mind is still there, the focal point, but your mind feels very heavy, lethargic. What should I do? Right? What should I do? So there, it is advised that you try to make this white light blazing. Imagine that this white light is blazing. The blazing, and the white light is very light, it's not heavy. The blazing. With the blaze, what happens is that automatically, say when you're feeling a little sleepy, somebody with puts the torchlight in front of you, instantly you will become your mind will become very fresh. Okay. Then if this sluggishness, if the heaviness of the mind becomes too much, then you may keep some water next to you and then sprinkle some water on your face like this. So these are, some tips. Then if it's still sprinkling, still you fall asleep, then you get up. Right? Okay, that is which means that look, there's so many things to keep in mind. If that is happening, either you must be deprived of the sleep, One, or the nutrition, you may be lacking nutritious food, you may be lacking nutritious food, or because of anxiety and you're being very tired of all the many days of anxiety, right? Many factors are there. We must know the factors. Okay. Now, whereas if your mind feels overactive meaning your mind is always going to the shopping malls and so forth, then what should you be doing? Then you have to, one, visualize this dot as very heavy. This dot as very heavy, like a lead. This dot is a very heavy dot. And then still, if it doesn't help, then you can move this dot at the navel. You can move this dot, instead of focusing visualizing this dot between nose and the upper lip, you can move it down mentally. You can focus it at your navel. At your navel, very heavy navel, just focus your mind there. This will bring your mind from distractions and so forth. These are all the indications of how our physiology and our mind, these two are very closely connected. You're getting it? Okay. So you can visualize the dot, very heavy dot at your navel. Okay. When the distraction slowly subsides, then you can bring it back here. Right? Okay. These are the tips. Okay. With this, we'll do 5 minutes. Ready? Okay. Ready? Okay, ready. Okay, thank you. Okay, going back to the topic which we did last time. The Four Noble Truths, the Buddha, after becoming enlightened, at the request of King Indra and Brahma of the celestial beings, the gods and goddesses, then the Buddha started to give teachings. And the first, the teachings are also subsumed under what is known as the three turnings of the wheel of Dharma, or three wheels of Dharma. The first wheel of Dharma, the content matter of which is Four Noble Truths, and the teaching was given in Sarnath. And the second turn of wheel of Dharma, the content matter is Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, and the place was Rajgir. And the third turn of wheel of Dharma was the topic emptiness according to Chittamatra school, emptiness of external reality, and thought where Vaishali. Okay, these are the three turns of wheel of Dharma. And it's not that the Buddha taught only 3 times and then he remained silent. This was not the case. All teachings that Buddha gave commonly referred to as 84,000. There are 2 references there. One is you find the mention of 84,000 teachings of Buddha, and in other sources we see 80,000 teachings of the Buddha. Okay, so why this variation is very interesting. This we have to know. Why this variation? Some sources say 84,000 and other sources say 80,000. Why this variation? And both are correct. If both are correct, why this variation? This question. In fact, what happened was that down the line, the Buddha's disciples, they felt the need for the Buddha to have an attendant. And then the Buddha's disciples, they were all discussing as to who would be the right person, who would be the most and the appropriate person to be the Buddha's attendant. And then they all came to the consensus that Ananda should be the right one. And then they made request to Ananda. Ananda, who was the Buddha's cousin brother, very younger and cousin brother. And Ananda say, if the Buddha's disciples, they decided you to be the Buddha's attendant, would you accept it or not? No? Hey, would you accept it or not? If you are the one chosen as a Buddha's attendant by the consensus of the disciples, what would be your feeling? What a joy, what an honor, right? Okay, but Ananda said, yes, I will accept it, but with one condition. So he laid a condition. Ananda laid a condition. And what was the condition? And then they asked, why? If somebody would ask me, I'll be feeling so honored. Ananda, why are you saying this? Why? What condition? And the condition was that henceforth, from the time I'm appointed as the Buddha's attendant, Buddha should not teach in my absence. All teachings must be done in my presence. So that the Buddha's disciples, they were all just shocked. How come that Ananda was laying up the condition? And then they were all the disciples, they reported this to the Buddha. And Buddha said, okay, I will do as Ananda wants. So the Buddha accepted, and the Ananda accepted to become the Buddha's attendant. Okay, you'll be wondering why Ananda lay down this condition. Later on, you will realize that this is incredibly skillfulness, amazing skill of the Ananda, being very thoughtful, of seeing the future. So then the Ananda, he became the Buddha's attendant, and he became very, very powerful person, right? Ananda became a very powerful person, right? So many things which otherwise would be impossible to happen, through Ananda, things happen, right? Okay, there's so many things. He was so powerful, right? Okay, so one thing which the girls may find it little, the unpleasant, right? What happened was that the Buddha's, the stepmother, along with 500 girls, made the request to the Buddha to be ordained, and the Buddha declined. And the Buddha's, what is the mother? The name? Prajapati? Gautami is the family name. The Maya Devi is the Buddha's mother's name. Prajapati, yes, thank you. Okay, so the mother Prajapati knew that, okay, if it doesn't work with the Buddha, I'll go through Ananda, right? And then they asked Ananda, okay, you must, please, this is what is happening, and the Buddha did not accept that. Then the Ananda persuaded the Buddha to ordain Mahaprajapati and all the 500 girls. And the Buddha accepted. He is so powerful, he was so powerful, Ananda. Okay, what happened? Then, say, when the Buddha was 81 years old, he assumed Mahaparinirvana. Mahaparinirvana meaning, in the ordinary language, the passing away. The Buddha passed away. And then when the Buddha passed away, the Buddha handed over the responsibility of the Sangha members to Mahakashyap, very senior Arhat Mahakashyap, gave the responsibility to Mahakashyap. So from there were 7 the heirs, one after the other, 7 heirs, and Ananda was the second, not the first one. Actually, people were all expecting that Ananda was going to be the heir, but the Buddha did not appoint him as the heir, the first heir. The first heir was Mahakashyap. Then what happened? Mahakashyap became the boss, the head of the Buddha's group, the Sangha. Then Mahakashyap, he instantly sacked the Ananda. All right? Get out. You're not supposed to be staying with us because you have these 10 problems. Right? He produced allegation of 10 problems that you created pertaining to the Buddha. Right? 10 problems. Okay, 10 problems. If I cite one by one, you will feel that these are not really problems. Right? One was that they said that because Ananda in the first place, he was very, very powerful. Number 2, without these reasons, the Mahakashyap cannot sack him out. There should be some basis. So one was that when Buddha was traveling or when Buddha was just roaming around, so there was no, Buddha asked Ananda, get me some water to drink. And then Ananda could not find clean water. So there was a dirty pond, not too clean. And then he just got the water from there and served the Buddha drank it. And then said that, how dare you serve such a dirty water to the fully awakened one, right? I think he said that, but I could not find any clean water, I'll get some water there. Then he said, no, this is not your business. Just if you held the ball in the sky the devas and devis will put nectar in it for the Buddha, right? Why do you have to get this dirty water? This is your first mistake. And then number 2, Ananda, he washed the Buddha's robes by what? Treading on this. You do this, right? You step on it to wash the clothes. How many of you do that sometimes? Maybe many, not nowadays. Nowadays all in the washing machine. Right? In the olden days, many people, they do that. They step on it. Okay. And then Ananda did it on the Buddha's robes. And how dare you stepped on the Buddha's fully awakened one's dress, the robes. He said, how could I wash it otherwise? Then Mahakashyap said that, no, this is not your business. Right? Your job is just to hold this dress, the Buddha's robes, in the air sky like this. You hold it, and the devas and devis, they will pour nectar on it and they will wash it. It's not your business to tread on it and step on it like, you're treating the Buddha as an ordinary person. This is your second mistake. Right? Okay, so there were 10 allegations. Then he was sacked out. Then the Ananda felt so demoralized, felt so sad at the time of the Tathagata. At the time of the Tathagata, I was just respected by everyone. Now I'm just no one. I can't even stay in the Sangha. I was set down. He felt just, this is the world, this is samsara. He felt so disillusioned by samsara, and he started meditating very seriously. Within a very short span of time, he achieved arhatship. You getting it? And Mahakashyap, from his place, through his clairvoyance, he was watching what was happening with Ananda. Then Mahakashyap realized that, oh, now Ananda has achieved arhatship, right? He's achieved arhatship. The moment he realized that, Mahakashyap sent all the monks to receive Ananda with so much of respect to the monastery. Then Ananda was invited. So why Mahakashyap did that, sacked him out, was out of a great purpose. And the purpose was that Mahakashyap wanted, the first thing that he wanted to do was to compile all the Buddha's teachings. Right? Because those teachings were not like the written, they were all orally taught. And somebody to compile those teachings, the person must be Arhat. So Mahakashyap, he was already Arhat. Mahakashyap, who was already Arhat. And there was another one, what is that? What was the Sanskrit name? Upali. Okay. Arhat Upali. Upali was already Arhat. So, the last time we learned Tripitak. We learned the Tripitak, the 3 baskets. The what? Vinaya, Sutra, Abhidhamma, right? Abhidharma, 3. So these are the 3, all the teachings of Buddha can be subsumed under these 3 categories. The Vinaya, Sutra, Abhidhamma, right? So because there are 3 main categories of the Buddha's teachings, Mahakashyap needed 3 arhats to compile the teachings of the Buddha. Mahakashyap himself was there. Then the Upali was there. And then he needed 3rd one. And not only just Arhat, right? Not only just Arhat, somebody who's highly qualified and respected. Who is? Ananda. Unfortunately, Ananda was not Arhat at that point. So he wanted him to become Arhat very soon. Right? How to make him Arhat very soon? Make him meditate very seriously. So when will he meditate very seriously? When he feels disillusioned by samsara, right? Okay. So once he became the Arahat, then he was invited, and then the first council happened, where the whole purpose of the first council was to compile all the teachings of the Buddha, the Vinaya, Sutra, and Abhidhamma. Okay, so when how the mode, it may be good for us to know this also, and how the actual compilation was done, because that these three arhats, they were reciting the Buddha's teachings by heart, right? By heart. So therefore, it is as a gesture of respect for the teachings, Dhamma, and as a respect for the Buddha, as a respect. So all the arhats, they garment. They are three different garments. The top, what do you call it? The upper garment. The one garment known as chukku. So they all stack them to make a throne, seat on this, and then the three of them sat one by one and they recited the whole discourse on the one arahat. The one of the three of them recited the Vinaya, one recited the Sutra, one recited the Abhidhamma. Right? Okay. Now, why I said this? Good. Okay, I was just checking if your mind is as scattered as mine. Okay, so why I'm saying this? You remember? Why the discrepancy between 84,000 and 80,000? If both are correct, right, then how would you reconcile these things? So 84,000 was since Buddha Shakyamuni became enlightened. 80,000 since Ananda became the attendant of the Buddha, right? Okay, Ananda became attendant of Buddha. Ananda said what? I will accept it, provided the Buddha teach only in my presence. So 80,000 teachings were what the Buddha taught in the presence of the Ananda. The remaining 4,000 were taught before Ananda became the Buddha's attendant. Okay, this is a little bit of the thing. So that is okay, yeah. So all these teachings, there are 84,000 teachings in there, and all these can be subsumed either directly as one of the three turnings wheel of dharma, or as related to one of the three turns wheel of dharma. In other words, if you know the three turns wheel of dharma well, then we will know. You read any teaching of the Buddha, you will know where this teaching, which of the three turn wheel of dharma it goes into. You will realize that. Okay. So with this, the next is we're talking about the first turning. The Four Noble Truths. So how the Four Noble Truths was taught by the Buddha was taught in the form of 12 cycles or 12 repetitions. What are the 12 repetitions? 12 repetitions broken down into three groups. What's the first group? The 4 repetitions pertaining to the identification of the Four Noble Truths. The next set of the 4 repetitions pertain to the practice associated with the Four Noble Truths. And next set of the four cycles pertaining to the results that one accrue as after practicing doing the practice associated with the Four Noble Truths. Okay, so now we are going to do into more detail the first set. The set pertaining to the identification. Right? Okay, this is so important. The Four Noble Truths. So here, if you just listen to the teaching, it's very simple. The Buddha said, this is the truth of suffering. This is the truth of cause of suffering, or the origin of suffering. Origins, cause is fine. Number 3, this is the truth of cessation of suffering, and this is the truth of the path leading to the cessation of the suffering. Very good. Okay, so we need to go into detail each one of them. This is the truth of suffering, right? This is the truth of suffering. And oftentimes, people say that Buddhism is a very self-denial religion, right? Okay, now you're into Buddhism, right? Okay, so now so they expect you, right? If you are the Levi's or Levi. If you are putting on Levi's dress usually, right? Now becoming a Buddhist, you have to remove all these things, right? Okay, you're eating good food. You have to. This is what the impression people have. This is a total wrong impression, right? Okay, whatever you're wearing, whatever you're eating, whatever your lifestyle, continue with this. Continue with this. It has nothing. The point is, you don't have to be Buddhist in the first place. Don't forget it, right? What is important is enjoy pizza, don't become Italian, right? Okay, this is so important. The point is, learn these things and see in what way it is relevant to you. That your misery should go to zero, and your happiness should shoot up, right? If that happens, then if that is happening, if you're a Muslim, remain a good Muslim. If you're a Hindu, remain a good Hindu. If you're a Christian, remain a good Christian, right? Don't disturb your family, right? Don't disturb your family. Okay, all these rituals are totally meaningless. Why this? Why that? Why then? You challenge your family, the poor, the parents who did not get the opportunity. All these things happen. Now look, I give so much education to my child. Now the child is challenging me, right? And the poor, the parents, they didn't have the answers. Even though okay, so this is not my business, right? The point is, don't disturb your family. This is so important, right? And if you disagree, you can disagree with me. You can disagree with anything. If you disagree mentally, but there's no harm in complying superficially to make the parents happy. Keep your parents happy. Don't disturb your family. Don't disturb your parents. This is so important, right? Okay. With this, the point is that after learning all these things, say two things. One is for somebody who is very deeply thinking person. For a deeply thinking person, these Four Noble Truths will make total sense, right? Total sense. And this will give you a meaning of your life. Yet, if someone is not too deeply thinking, then the problem was the incident which I experienced when I was in England, when I was in Cambridge. A friend of mine, amazingly accommodating, very sympathetic, very kind, generous. I was sitting with him. He's an English gentleman, and his wife is Israeli. And the gentleman, he asked me, Dorji, we became just, friend because of his very young son. Somehow, because of him, we became friends. And then I was invited there for his birthday party. I went there. Then I turned up a little early, like half an hour early. And before the other friends, they came. Then he asked me, Dorji, tell me about Buddhism. Then I was freshly coming out from the college, right? No experience, totally fresh, right? And I started with suffering, right? We all have sufferings. Then he listened so patiently. Then after a while he said, Dorji, stop. I said, why? Okay, he said, Dorji, okay, you already told this to me. In future, in England, never ever talk about suffering. And so I said, why? He said, people will not buy what you are saying. If there is an accident on the highway, and somebody died, right? Within 5 minutes, Everything is clean. Even the blood stain will be removed within 5 minutes, all are gone. Because nobody wants to see blood. Nobody wants to see death. Nobody wants to see impermanence. This is the reality of England. This is what is said. You're getting it? So therefore, what we need to do is 2 things. One, simply because you're learning these things, no need to change your food style, right, dress style, or your place. Just maintain all these things the way you are. No need to change, right? Okay, if you really want to change inside to make sure that you are becoming happier. Not that you slowly go down into psychiatrist, right? Don't do that. You should become a happier and a happier person. Okay, if that is not happening, something's wrong. Don't feel shy. Feel free to meet with your friends around. There are senior friends here, right? And you can also meet me, right? This is so important, right? Okay, so with this, the first one, truth of suffering. Truth of suffering. Say for a very deeply thinking person, when we speak about, say, if you are suffering from, say, you cough, you have a recurrent fever, then you take paracetamol, the fever is gone, after 3 hours again the fever comes back, right? And you start sweating, you slowly start to lose weight, you have no appetite, and you still think that this is just a casual or ordinary the headache problem. You keep taking some paracetamol all the time, you have the fever, okay. And then you may be suffering from tuberculosis. No, don't talk about tuberculosis, right? It's very scary. Don't talk about tuberculosis. Okay, if you are going through this problem, if somebody talks about tuberculosis, would you be courageous to listen to it? Or maybe it is the tuberculosis, or you simply don't want that person to speak about tuberculosis. Tell me, which of the 2 categories you belong to? Tell me. Huh? You want to listen to. This is known as somebody who is deeply thinking person. A deeply thinking person will not mind listening to the possibilities. What possibilities? So that if you diagnose the problem earlier, you can free yourself from this problem earlier and you become happier, right? Finally, we all seek happiness. So this is how the wise people follow. They don't mind talking about miseries, provided it is the benefit of eradicating miseries. Whereas by talking about miseries and there's no way by which to get rid of miseries, it's just pointless. For example, okay, we have a doctor here. Okay, doctor, your name? Dr. Saurabhji. Okay, any other doctors or any other nurses? Okay, so let's say that it's very funny. This is my impression, and I hope the doctor will also agree with me. Say if you have say the skin rashes or some problem, right? Dermatological problem or any problem, right? You go to hospital, you go to the specialist, and then finally they will give a label that this is this problem, this is this disease. Okay, but what's the cure? There's no cure. Right? Okay, if there is a cure, that's amazing. If there is no cure, again giving up the label and it scares you and it will kill you, right? So if it does not have a cure, then what's the purpose? If there is a cure, it's amazing to diagnose this and so forth, right? There are some problems where, there's some, for example, the skin rashes, some they say it'll not kill you. It'll not kill you, but some doctors, even in, for example, Singapore and in the other places, they say that the doctors, they give up. There's no, the patient is very young, right? Very young, but the doctors give up. There's no cure, right? Okay, so the point is that if there's a cure, why not? We discover, we identify, we diagnose the problem, right? So that is known as somebody who's afraid to diagnose the problem. This is where we have to take another step. Whereas somebody who does not mind diagnosing the problem and then look for ways and means to get rid of the problems, this is the wise person. Okay, for that matter, we need to know when you diagnose a problem so well. For that matter, the first truth, the truth of suffering. Okay, what do you mean by truth of suffering? This is a question, right? Truth of suffering. How we identify suffering is, of course, we all identify suffering when we go through problems, we go to the doctors, we go to the dietitian, we go to what? The gym, right? We go to all these, the therapies and so forth. So this is one way of identifying the suffering. But let us explore, right? Let us explore this as to what suffering is in its fullest form, so that we can get rid of the suffering altogether. Let us see, let us explore. Okay, suffering, the Buddha taught that suffering is of three kinds. And don't leave it just there. Don't leave it just there. Yes, the Buddha taught three sufferings, right? Or what is these? Okay, this. And you may not identify some of, you may not agree, right? Some of them to be suffering. They're actually happiness, right? Okay, so the point is that we should be convinced that what the Buddha taught is accurate, right? Otherwise, if you don't feel convinced, then either you blindly follow this or you just discard this very precious teaching. Okay, three kinds of suffering. The manifest suffering, the first one, manifest suffering, and then they say the slash meaning, two translations are there. Manifest suffering / suffering of suffering. So these two mean the same. Manifest suffering / suffering of suffering. Number two, suffering of change. Number two, suffering of change. Number three, pervasive conditioned suffering. Pervasive conditioned suffering. Okay, three kinds of suffering. Okay, before we go to explain each one of them, the point is that just to know what these are does not serve the purpose. For us, we should be convinced. We must gain the conviction. Yes, these three sufferings are there. I did not realize this before, right? Okay, tell me. Okay, just tell me. Share with us. What do you understand by suffering? Or in other words, give us some examples of suffering. Anyone, very quickly, before we retire for tea break.
Suffering or physical or emotional.
Okay, very precise. Don't just say physical suffering, emotional suffering. Then everything will go into this, right? Say which you went through. Right? Don't just say okay, suffering happening in Syria. Which you actually went through, so that it becomes so living. That's very true, right? Okay, tell me, anyone. Losing a loved one, yes. Okay, losing a very affectionate one. This is what happens to most of us, right? The pain of losing a loved ones. Pain of not just losing a loved one. Sometimes the joy of losing a loved ones. right? Sometimes the label is loved ones, but there is actually joy, right? Okay, the pain of losing a loved ones, that is suffering. And one else, very quick, Radhaji?
Very frequently getting irritated.
Okay, easily getting irritated, very frequently getting irritated, getting irritation for no reason, for small reasons, right? Even for small things. Okay, irritation. Meenakshi,
Attachment.
attachment actually is nice, right? It's not a suffering. Anyway, okay, okay. This we will keep in the other box for further discussion. Yes, Rebecca ji.
Continuously when not contented without reason.
Okay, continuously not feeling contented, right? Not feeling contented. Okay, okay, not feeling contented with whatever, with food or whatever, job or whatever, right? Not feeling contented. Okay, that's good. Anyone else?
Financial crisis. Financial crisis.
Okay, the pain of financial crisis, pain of having a financial crisis. Over there,
Extreme illness.
extreme illness. Yes. Anyone else?
Overthinking.
Overthinking about happiness. Overthinking about happiness is good, right? Overthinking about what? Overthinking about what?
Everything.
Everything. Okay, overthinking. Then what happens? Overthinking. Then what happens? You feel tired.
Stress.
Okay, stress. Okay, it's not overthinking. Stress because of overthinking.
Yes.
Right? Joy because of overthinking is fun. It's nice. Stress because of overthinking. Okay, this is a problem. Okay, anyone else? Maybe the last chance now. Anyone?
Conviction.
Uh,
Court conviction, going to prison.
say it again.
Court conviction, getting accused, convicted for murder.
Okay, court conviction. This is coming from a lawyer. Okay, court conviction. You are convicted, right? The pain, the stress, anxiety that you are convicted. Anxiety because of the court conviction. Okay. Except for what Professor Meenakshi said, all the problems that we have identified, they are the first category. First category problem. That is known as manifest suffering or suffering of suffering. Right? Manifest suffering. The first one. Okay. Good. Okay. Now what is the second suffering? What is the technical term we use? Suffering change. Okay. Okay. Let's say the manifest suffering means suffering, an experience of suffering which everybody identifies as suffering. You're getting it? Manifest suffering means suffering as something, an experience which is a suffering which anybody identifies as suffering. For example, the stress of overthinking. Stress due to overthinking. If somebody gets the stress, the moment somebody is stressed, who is happy when somebody is stressed? Nobody, right? So this everybody will identify as a suffering when you are stressed due to overthinking. Or anybody will be very unhappy if you if you have the pain of losing a near and dear ones. And everybody will be very unhappy if you have a sense of, say, not being contented, right? I never feel contented, right? So when will I ever come to a point where there's a glow happening in me? Wow, now this is it. This is what this is my final home. This is what I want, right? And then, say, the irritation. Small things irritate. Small things, right? Okay. How many of you get irritated so easily? Right? Okay. Okay. So just for small things. In fact, some of the young husbands, the new couples, when they come to me, yeah, they come to me and they ask for advice. Kishela, what advice would you give for us as a new couple? My first advice is, don't fight over trivialities. Never fight over the trivial points. Trivial points, right? Just ignore. If you fight over the trivial points, it will keep escalating. It will keep escalating, and that friendship will disappear very soon. Right? Because two persons come together, which means that, okay, now I'll give 50% of my freedom to you. Other will likewise say, I give 50% freedom to you. So 50% freedom is lost. Right? And then you've been enjoying 100% freedom till now. And you're expecting 100% more coming to you now. 200% your freedom you're getting. It's an illusion. The reality is that you enjoy celebrating, spending lakhs of rupees for this the wedding ceremony and so forth, to say that I'm losing 50% of my freedom. Yeah, this is a fact. So with this, you have to understand it. You have to understand it that okay, now the other person also has some, say the aspirations. I also have my aspirations, and the aspirations may not click, they may differ. So I should understand, she should understand, I should understand, he should understand, right? So this, so small with the small things. Okay, I used to eat only one cheesecake, and we have 2 cheesecake, right? No. It's always, we always eat more than 2. You have to eat 2. And why should I add? Unnecessary. Right? So therefore, once a friend of mine, I don't want to mention name. Once a friend of mine said, Dorji, you must come to my house. How come that he is inviting me to his house? Why should you go there? He said, Dorji, you must come to my house. I said, why? I respect him so much. So I was trying to evade that. He was forcing me. Dorji, you must come to my house. He was not forcing, persuade me. Come to my house. Okay. Then I told him, okay, now you must inform your wife that I'm coming. He said, no. Then we're driving. Why? So weird that he's inviting me, then he was not, informing the wife that he's inviting me. Then coming closer to the house, I told him again, I was little, strong. Told him that you must now inform her that we two are here. He said, no. But I said, no, you must inform her. Then I forced him, then he informed. And then I already went to the house, we went to the house earlier. And then I entered. He first sent me. He first sent me. This is so weird. Okay, then I went, and the wife was beating the door. Then I said, hello. She said, hello. Usually it's not a hello. Usually it's very nice, very gentle. So today it's very different. Hello. Then still I did not get the clue. Right? And then I said there. And then Mr. A-G-J-I-G. The wife shouted, said, Dorji, how dare you call him G? He doesn't deserve G. Then I realized why he called me there. I was invited there as the shield. As a shield for him, right? If I would not go there, then the explosion would be even worse. Yeah. Okay. So, but then I was, no, the poor guy, I didn't get any clue that this was going to happen. If this is what I knew before, then I would not have come, right? And then finally, both of them settled. And then the husband misplaces the wallet. Inside the wallet, all the things were there. The cards, the credit card, all these things were there. He misplaced them. He asked, where's my wallet? And she said, I didn't know. Right? And finally, he found the wallet. He found the wallet and he shouted at the wife, saying that, "You're the one who kept it there." And she said, "I didn't keep it there." She said, "Yes, you kept it there." Then I said, "You have already found it." It's so wonderful that you found it, right? Try just rejoice that, wow, it's so good. Thank you that it's not outside, it's inside. Just thank her, right? If you have really lost it, then it's a problem. You found it, rejoice. Don't shout. Seeing this, then that's the problem. Okay, so my advice, because of seeing all these things, my advice was just don't fight over the petty things, right? Okay, so this is what? This decoration is what? Manifest suffering, right? Anything which we all can easily identify as suffering is known as manifest suffering. In other words, something which even the animals could identify as suffering is known as manifest suffering, right? In other words, what we identify as suffering, if not 100%, 99% of all our sufferings, which we identify as suffering, all fall under the category of the manifest suffering. This is not the real suffering, right? This is not the real suffering. The real suffering will come later. Okay, tea break. Okay, the 20 minutes tea break will come back at 6:30.